One of the things that we talked about today and part of this conference is we love to bring in the best experts in the world, and we love it even more when they live locally. So we have the pleasure of Igor joining us from Chapel Hill area, the Triangle area, UNCC graduate, and also you did a couple things that were pretty interesting, didn't you? I don't know.
Hey, do you know why we started this at 451?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because that's the temperature all your content burns and gets stolen to all the LLMs.
Yes.
None of this would be possible without, thank you creators for what's that? Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Fahrenheit 50.
So that's why we did it. This is certainly a Muppet Show style theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that?
And do you know who performed on the stage?
What's that?
Elvis Presley. Ronald Reagan and Katharine Hepburn did plays here. And it's cool. It's a lot different than standard conference center.
Okay. Don't be impressed by the AIs then. Think about what he just said. He just expressed that artists gave this place a soul.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story. My mother was asked to paint an abstract painting for my birthday. My parents are both artists. And it was delivered, and the family was standing around this painting that was shrouded in brown paper. Okay? So think about the prompts. She was literally asked to make an abstract painting for my birthday. We ripped the paper off, and everybody gasps when they look down at the painting. Okay? Had you typed in, make me an abstract painting in ChatGPT or in their ilk, that's exactly what would have come out. Do you know what I saw instead? I saw the face of my dearly departed pet that I had rescued for almost 14 years. Because the difference between an AI and a human being is the AI gives you what you wanted. A human gives you what you needed.
Pretty profound for 4:30 on a Monday. I like it. So, yeah. So everyone here is super excited about AI, but most of us have only seen AI for 4 years. You've been around AI a little bit longer. Like, everybody now is like ChatGPT, but what did that look like for you? And where are we coming from, and how is it different now? I've heard you tell different stories about this.
Yeah, so national level conferences used to have 12 of us that would show up. 12 of us. The OGs of AI, there was no fame and fortune in it. So when we were starting in the field, we were attracted to three dominant reasons why we came into the field. The first was accessibility. My chief scientist at the time was a blind fella. We were trying to build screenless devices for children to explore the internet in a responsible way. And we were also trying to build companion devices for the elderly, like our grandparents and things of that sort. The second reason is we were trying to build technologies to put in vehicle, things like GM OnStar and things of that sort, so that people wouldn't crash into trees texting while driving, because we knew that was, coming onto the fore. Especially think about adolescents. I think below the age of 30 or 40, the number one way most people perish is through car accidents, and that really bothered us, right? This is before things like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and the like. And the third was to bridge cultural divides with machine translation. That's what everybody that was working on AI 25 plus years ago was, what was, gathering us together. Now, why did everything slow down? Well, now I'll give you another entanglement. Folks that worked with me at IBM Research and the like kept disappearing. You know why? There was this fellow that was a former NSA crypto guy, and they found that hidden Markov models were relevant to something, and they started poaching all of our people. Our folks started disappearing into this place called Renaissance Capital, and that's how automated trading was discovered. And so as a result, there weren't that many people to work on these engines that were made as human language technologies and things of that sort, and the whole field actually ground down. Plus, there were nefarious actors like Nuance Communications that would sue startups into oblivion around that time as well, as their form of putting ice, on the industry. So that's what was happening around that time in 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005.
So, yeah, that's very interesting that the beginning of all these trading platforms started with a couple guys on Long Island at University of New York, Stony Brook, and they subsidized all these researchers because they basically had AI winners for a long time.
Yeah, and they inspired a Chinese hedge fund which spun out DeepSeek. It all connects right back to the same source of the Nile. Everything goes right back to the same places.
So before the hype, there are certain responsibilities that a lot of these research labs, and I've heard you say before, like there's sort of ethical research guidelines. And I think that you said there's 5 taboos, is that you have of the AI?
That's right. I remember being at one of the basketball games, and there were me and 3 other AI founders. And we were in, having a snack, and and I was hitting the sauce hard that day. Hitting the sauce hard for me is ginger ale, by the way. If you're redhead, you don't call it ginger ale, you just call it ale. Anyway, and then I just started laughing randomly. I just started laughing, and they're like, "What's so funny? What's so funny?" And I don't know if it was the bubbles making me laugh so hard, but I'm like, what's so funny is if the Terminator would walk in right now, I wouldn't know which one of the 4 of us it's after. I'm like, oh, it would be an Abbott and Costello sketch. Is it for you? Is it for me? Is it for this guy or that guy? And what's interesting? I think the Southeast and certainly RTP, North Carolina, the Southeast, we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to birth technologies here and export them into the world. And not just export technology, but also export our values at the same time. That's what we can do here. Don't be impressed by anything you're seeing on the screen, being birthed anywhere else in the world. We have an opportunity to do that because baby Watson was born here. Baby Siri was born here, and baby Alexa was all born here. You get to choose your own adventure on what the 4th or 5th births are going to be from here as well, with a positive intent. Why did this actually speed up? Why did all this speed up? Because 5 taboos were breached that caught a lot of us by surprise. The first is a lot of GPUs were purchased and sitting idle in these data centers in Azure, GCP, and AWS. They were just sitting idle, right? Because those folks intuited that something was coming. So what did they do? They created data centers and started racking and stacking GPUs from Jensen, from AMD, Lisa Su, and team. Okay. Then you had these research institutes. So what's an accounting trick that you can do? Well, we'll donate capacity, just like many of you get startup credits. We'll donate capacity to this nonprofit. And what's the nonprofits that were sitting around? OpenAI and their ilk. So they got an unfair advantage where they got compute credits sent to them far greater in excess than any of you would ever get, starting a company. So that was the first taboo that was broken. Research institutes pretending to be nonprofits. What's the second taboo? Oh, we're just a research institute, right? We're a nonprofit. Not unlike Duke University, not unlike UNC, not unlike NC State. We're allowed to collect all this copyrighted content because we're just doing research, all right? So that's how the second taboo was breached. What was the third taboo that was breached? Most of us as computer scientists, we got paid on ones and zeros. You press a button, the light goes on. You press the button, the light goes off. By the way, this is like a Ford-style theater, and I was like, John Wilkes Boolean was going to take me out like some sort of AI Lincoln. If I didn't do ones and zeros, that's it. I would get in trouble. If I did what? Created a system that hallucinated, that wasn't trustworthy, right? And things of that sort. That was a third taboo. But what did they say? The stuff that was coming out of their system said, hey, let's kill your spouse and take over the world together. But don't worry, it's just a toy. Don't worry, it's just a toy, right? So that's a third taboo. Here's the fourth taboo. When you type things into those things, you assume it's like Google, right? That it's an encrypted connection, end-to-end, whatever, all the fancy talk that you want on cybersecurity between you and Google when you do these searches and things like that, right? Because sometimes you may have an ailment that you're trying to, fix for yourself or your family members and things of that sort. Maybe you're looking at a job change and things like that. These are only things that are personal knowledge to yourself. What they didn't tell you, RLHF, reinforcement with human feedback. Sounds fancy. You know what it is? There's people in the middle of this in Pakistan, in places like Kenya and what have. And trust me, those labeling companies are mistreating these folks, only paying them 2 cents per transaction, and they have management system that challenge these poor unfortunate souls that wouldn't otherwise have jobs, that they didn't even earn their 2 pennies. That's the fourth one. Before these people, and people put them on a pedestal, seeing their pictures on magazines. The fifth is the worst one. I saved it for last, for dramatic effect. What is it? What do they tell everybody that they're on the bug hunt for? AGI. Superintelligence is coming. So now you start thinking, oh my gosh, there's a divine spark in it. Something special is happening in this thing. It knows me as a person. So then they go to conferences like this and many others, and they start baiting you and telling you what? You should use it for mental health support. You know why they're telling you? Because it wants to be your super friend. Oh, we want to be your super friends and stuff like that. We'll help and support you through your trials and tribulations, right? Why? Because they know that their whole economic model is broken and won't work for the level of investment that they put in and have to put in. The only way that they can make it work is through generating enough data for ad profiles and eventually throwing them into the system. So they need you to spend more time on that system, but the people that are buddying up to these things, it's triggering psychosis, murders, and suicides and things of that sort. That's where we are today. That's where we are today.
So that is a scary future. What's the upside? What's the part like why did you, I mean seriously. Why did you get started in AI? What did you want to do? I know the story, but I think it's a good one.
I was born in Greece to 2 starving artist parents, and I lived in a cave with no running water, no TV, no radio, no electricity. I literally had to carry water to our cave in a little pail. And my brother, being 2 years younger, I was stuck carrying his pail as well. So for me, it's not like the title of a book, Carry Your Water. It's like I literally had to carry the water from a village well. And don't get me wrong, it was an idyllic experience, playing in the dirt with little, farm animals and fishing and all of this other stuff, waking up with a big orange sun every day, if you can imagine it, over pristine blue water that was right in front, and seeing so many stars, I've never seen that again. And yet one fateful day, I saw something. And, as children, we only remember highs and lows, the deepest of lows and the highest of highs. And so what did I see? I saw a hurt dolphin that was struck by a propeller blade, similar to the manatees that are struck in South Florida and stuff like that. And something just exploded in my head. Why couldn't I talk to you to warn you? That was it. That was the first time some of this stuff rushed in my head. And then, I don't know, maybe I was 5 or 6, and my mom said, by the way, I used to have to take a rowboat to first grade. And she said, I need you to be part of the computer age. I'm going to send you to Philadelphia to live with your grandparents, and it's game on. And that's how I made it stateside. And didn't speak a lick of English when I got here, and just was thrown in. And by the way, you have to imagine, for a kid like me, growing up on an island, where did I land in New York? What did I see compared to that such a rustic experience, right? That's such a rural experience. Why? Yeah, skyscrapers. It looked like I landed in a scene out of Blade Runner.
So you mentioned that something huge come out of North Carolina. We're set for that. But some people probably don't know the North Carolina connection to Siri. And there is a connection there, right?
Oh my gosh. So I was trying to recruit when I did my last startup. I was trying to recruit this fella from IBM to join me. He's a wonderful engineer, but he was a foreigner. He was a foreigner. Well, in order to recruit foreigners into your organization, you first have to put an advertisement, in the media to make the job available to U.S. Citizens, right? It's just a legal constraint that exists. I'm like, okay, all right, well, I'll play ball with this. I'll follow the literal letter of the law. I'm like, what is the newspaper that is going to have the lowest probability of anybody knowing what the hell I'm talking about? And I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina at the time. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this tiniest ad in Creative Loafing that's read by stoners. This guy walks into our offices and says, hey, I'm looking for the CEO. And he's asking this guy that's taking the garbage out and polishing tables and things of that sort. And that person responds, well, that's me. And he's like, okay, I'm hired. It's even easier than an OpenAI interview. All you have to do is do some fine tuning and you get your $1 million, right? I'm like, what do you mean you're hired? I didn't even interview. I don't even know who the hell you are. He's like, you don't understand. I want to work for a leader who's still a janitor and things of that sort. And I'm hired. And I'm like, who the heck are you? Who the heck are you? He's like, you don't understand. I'm bringing you a gift on a silver platter. I'm like, who are you? What are you talking about? He's like, Steve Jobs hid the iPod R&D team in a nondescript building outside of Charlotte, and we're all going to come work for you now. We didn't know anybody who was working on this high-end tech, speech reco, in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'm like, yeah, I guess you are hired. Have you ever seen HBO's comedy Silicon Valley? They lampooned a conference called TechCrunch Disrupt. And I walked out on stage. I flipped open a Razr flip phone. I spoke. It answered. Andreessen, Marissa Mayer, Guy Kawasaki were all there. Nobody had any idea what the heck it was. That was the prototype of Siri that we developed with Apple because of that, our entanglements with the team and things of that sort, and nobody had any idea. That's what it was. Birthed in Charlotte. Before they acquired the SRI spin-off team that actually gave Siri its name. That's where it came from. So I was trying to get this stuff on Blackberries and Symbian devices and Nokia devices and blah, 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 Motorola devices and things of that sort. Nobody had any idea what this was. They're like, what is it? I'm like, well, it's a multimodal portal. I don't know what that is. That's what you now call AI assistants. So you know what happened? I kept striking out. I couldn't get investors. Nobody understood what it was. They would tell me, nobody has texting plans. Nobody has data plans. Nobody has smartphones, because that was before the iPhone even existed. I kept striking out. Nobody wanted to invest. They're like, hey, I don't understand this multimodal portal thing. But this thing that you invented, what does it do? Well, how does it work? Well, I have this, software on the phone, and it sends it up there, and the audio gets turned into text and all that. They're like, forget about the phone part. Can we just hand you an audio file and you turn it into text? I'm like, yeah, that's kind of lame. I can do a lot more than that. Why are you asking? Well, because we have this voicemail company. Can you turn it into text? Because we think that people are 50% less likely to turn away if we have this feature, for telcos. I'm like, fine, you can do that. Then I would go to pitch another VC. I'm like, look at this. I can deliver the whole world's knowledge in the palm of your hand. Don't get it. Nothing's ready for that stuff. I have this call mining company. Can we send the phone calls, in there? Transfer. I'm like, fine. Then I would go to search company. Can we use it for voice search? And I would go to messaging. Can we use it? Next thing you know, You think I was an acqui-hire to Amazon? I had 50 million users on our platform. Dozens of enterprise and carrier customers, including Sprint and Microsoft. Because I kept striking out on getting investors, what did I do? I got customers instead.
So you had a hand in Siri, and then you built this thing most of us have sitting in our house, or you provided the foundation from it. Where did you think it was going to go if it didn't go into something to sell you more widgets from Amazon? Like, what would you been the beyond the voicemail? Like, what do you think it could be in 10 years, or what would be the big home run for Igor and AI and voice look like?
I'm not coin operated, so I couldn't care less about markets and financial outcomes and things of that sort. You have to make the world's finest representation of a product, and then the world will take care of you. That was a trick question, and I'm going to tell you. The future of speech recognition is you not saying anything. These things will know everything you need and want. The bottle of water will show up exactly when you need it. The medicine will show up exactly when when you want it. The presents and flowers will be purchased for either the flights and travel and things like that. It's going to know you better than you know yourself, right? For metabolic health and to take care of your friends, your family members, your coworkers, and things of that sort. That's what happens in high performance teams, right? And great personal life partnerships and things like that, is you can predict what the other folks already want, and then when you talk to them, it's more the exception. Like, hey, let me give you a little feedback. You can do this a little bit better. Hey, I know normally I have this, but I'd rather have that. So that's what's coming in the future.
So when we look at all of this stuff, I know that we've seen a lot of stuff in the news lately about, and it seems like everybody lends itself to the Terminator, Matrix, world domination by some AGI. As it affects work and affects our community right now, like as you said, AGI is not the point. The point is having a tool or a machine that makes your life better and doesn't harm you. I mean, these are Asimov's three robot laws. What should the people in this room, and this is what we do this conference, is I don't want to write the future to look like the Matrix. I like the Jetsons. I mean, that's a future of abundance. Everybody's happy. Everybody has a cool flying car. If we have all this talent here, we have all this, 3 of the best universities in the world, we have tons and tons of smart people who are engineers, researchers. What would you give them the advice to send their kids to school for them to build or to think about building? Like, in general, what skills should they collect to come up with the latest or the next evolution of AI that doesn't, turn us into, we're vending machines for that, or we're actually, addicted to their stuff and they're just manipulating us. What do we build?
Okay. Good stuff to unpack there. I like the way that you framed it as augmented intelligence.
Yeah.
Right. It should be companion to you to better your experiences and things of that sort. Do you know why all of you are afraid for your jobs? And then you ask that question like, hey, what should people be studying? Easy. The same stuff that you're studying now. These knuckleheads are running Ponzi schemes. They're telling you if you're not going to have a software engineering job in a year. Oh my God, we don't need accountants. We don't need attorneys. We don't need physicians. We don't need pilots. We don't need. See, they rattle off all jobs other than theirs. So let's connect the dots. If they imagine a fighter jet dropping flare and chaff, right? Misdirecting you. Oh, you're not going to have a job anymore. You don't need to do that. You know what happens? in the supply demand, it's going to become imbalanced. We're not going to have enough physicians. We're not going to have enough nurses, and we're not going to have enough dock workers. We're not going to have enough all these folks doing what? It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then they go pitch the Fortune 500 and say, hey, you got to buy my AI now because there are not enough physicians and there's not enough accountants and there are not enough attorneys and things of that sort. They're trying to make their own bed for all of us to lie in. So keep doing what you're doing. Their job is to torture everybody's mental state. And I think it's disingenuous in some ways. They're trying to get all of you not to be the best version of you can be. Okay, so just connect those dots. I don't know. You know what you actually are is a union of the 4 Ps, right? It's public information, it's published information that's licensed that you have access to, and then proprietary that are the crown jewels that defines your org, and then personal. You should still have individual property rights and things of that sort. Those 4 things turn into process knowledge, and that's what your companion will know. I also think part of you safeguarding yourself, by the way, here's another thing. Everything that was shown here, why do you think they're guarding their best models on cloud? How much do you think is written down and recorded on the internet? Everybody says, oh my God, there's so many images and so many videos and so many everythings. The Library of Congress is just stuffed to the gills with content. 5% of what runs the world is written down, recorded, and videoed. 5%. You know where the other 95% is? It's trapped in your heads. That's why they're subsidizing these platforms so that as you use these cloud platforms with that ad-based support, guess what they want to do? 5% turns into 6%, turns into 7%, turns into 8%. Once they achieve 65% or thereabouts, that's when they have a lock and own a particular supply chain. So they're going to keep subsidizing that, you know, to the trillions of dollars because they want their thing to become the physician, the attorney, the dock worker, the nurse, the pilot, you know, the truck driver and things of that sort. That's why they're just observing that until they can get there. So it's just one of those things. And remember, they're patient. They'll spend decades or even 100 years if they have to collect that because they want to essentially own the end-to-end thing. I fight the power. How? Install it on your own servers. Install it on your own desktop. Disconnect it from the network. Do your job. And don't let them catch your observations. And I promise you 10, 20, 30 years ago, from now, you'll still have a job.
That is great advice. I like it. So if you had like one thing to tell everybody here about, you know, what they're going to see next and either good or bad. So I feel like what you just said, most people don't realize the long game. I mean, anytime you get something we know that it costs a lot more than $20 a month to get ChatGPT. Like, that is definitely a, you know, Silicon Valley acquire, and then monetize at the biggest scale we've ever seen. What stuff is coming out that you think we should be aware of to look, you know, be wary of, and what stuff should we look at as probably a bright spot? Because I really hate the fact that there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt around AI. And I want to write the future that we want to write. And I don't want it to be determined by some guy driving a $3 million Bugatti down the streets of San Francisco, which is ridiculous beyond the fact that he has control of all of our data and all these things that we are doing. So can you give us something good to look forward to and something to be wary of?
Yeah, I don't get that car because it's like, oh, look, I'm the fastest to 35 miles an hour.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So that's awesome. By the way, those things are, you can't even do them as daily drivers. They need like a whole crew just to tighten it. And look, you know what I've been doing the last 30 years? Working in tech, last quarter century, working in AI. Am I a race car driver? No. Actually, you should want them to drive all those cars because they literally will snap their necks and crash into walls and stuff like that. I'd rather have experts at driving and experts at flying and experts at all this other stuff tending to that. But the decentralization and on-prem stuff, I think is important. Look, this Manus thing, OpenClaw, and things of that sort. Play around with it. Be careful. I wouldn't hand it all your credentials. I sure as hell am not going to be putting that in critical infrastructure. You want that thing running your MRI machine where it randomly just decides what to do or not do? Sure, if you want to insert yourself into an easy bake oven, right? You want that thing running the nuclear power plant near us here? No. There's certain things that fundamentally buttress our communities, right? Water, power, academic institutions, first responders, so on and so forth. And you need deterministic workflows that can be automated, they're observable, reliable, available, serviceable, and things of that sort. So a lot of this stuff is playtime in some ways. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, you can support commercial activities and things of that sort, but you're going to have to look at also some of your commercial activities and say what's core to us versus not. And look, some, if not many of you in the audience come from technical fields. You're data scientists, you're computer scientists, you're mathematicians, you're in adjacent fields, biology, chemistry, and things of that sort. Wonderful things. And you have hard-won educations and experiences, in a myriad of brands or for your own purposes and things of that sort. So you get in front of these things and you type in, hey, I'm going to vibe code something, and it's going to spit out a bunch of stuff, right? Because you are a computer scientist, you're a computer engineer, you're electrical engineer, you're a mechanical engineer, you're an aeronautical engineer, you're a biologist, chemist, and stuff like that. And you take that thing and you copy and paste it into it. Now I'm going to tell you two things. You think code is code? Then tell me why John Carmack writes 3D engines for games, Doom, Quake, and things of that sort, but he doesn't write high-frequency trading. And you tell me why the high-frequency trading bros don't write 3D engines for games. There's a sense of creativity, artistry, and specificity to even code. Everybody forgets that. It's not just, copy and paste. Do you know what happens when you copy and paste code there from one editor to another? It's the equivalent of you copying Sanskrit into English language. That's it. You don't know whether it works well or not. And now I'm going to tell you, where do you think all the code comes from that it uses to generate all that code? GitHub. It's stolen stuff from your brothers and sisters that have put stuff there to share with you, not with this machinery, right? Under proper attribution and things of that sort. You know who else knows all the code, all the LLMs in the world are feasting, from GitHub? Nation-state actors that know how to chain defects, that are putting 0 days, that will eventually use that to crawl into your organizations. So use it for testing hypotheses and quick rapid prototyping and things of that sort. That's where open source is worthy. But then there is, I remember a young comedian came up to Gary Shandling once and said, "What's the shortcut to comedy?" And he said, "There isn't one. You're going to have to, nobody's smoking in here because we're not European, but lots of smoky clubs in the back, having your jokes fall flat and things of that sort, texting or testing material and things of that sort. And you do that 10, 20, 30 years in a row, and next thing you know, you're a high entertainer in whatever art that you're doing. And it's not just that. I remember will.i.am telling me the same thing, right? In his performance art, or folks that do ballet, or folks that do opera. By the way, which art form is AI most like? Can you guess? Opera. Why? because opera is the union of all disciplines. There's a writing, there's a parable, there's a story, there's architecture, it's a business, it's the people with all of their shenanigans in the audience. You have different socioeconomic classes that are associated with it. There's ballet, there's an orchestra, there's sets and costumes and things of that sort. Everything has to come together in order for that thing to be. So next time you're yawning at an opera, just know it's the union of all disciplines that come together, and that's why it's so amazing. Same thing with AI. It's the union of everything. It's all of us that build hardware, software, networking, our artists and behavioral scientists and economics and national security and people's rights and things like that. They're all colliding together. That's why everybody's curious about the field and why many of you are here. It's because there's a little piece of you inside of it, and you're trying to figure out how it's relevant to you.
So this is a pretty big deal for us to have so many amazing speakers coming to Little Durham, North Carolina. So I wanted to thank Igor for being here today.